Are you unsure on how to use some of these new Pokemon competitively? Well, allow me to lend you a helping hand. Hey guys, welcome to my new series where I'm going to be going over all of the Pokemon new to Paldea from A to Z. I'll be mentioning some sets that you can use on these Pokemon competitively in both double and single battles. If this sounds like something that you'd like to see more of, then please sub to the channel. We're on the road to 10k, and hey, with your help, maybe we'll get there by the end of the year. Now let's get into the first Pokemon, and that is Annihilape. Now, Annihilape actually has a really special place in my heart, and that probably goes back to when I was a child. I had this one video that I used to watch on repeat all of the time. And it was the episode where Mankey would steal Ash's hat. Ever since then, this line of monkeys has just had this really soft spot in my heart, and Annihilape just fits in there perfectly. I'm so happy to see some love given to this evolution line. Now, when we look at Annihilape's stats, the first thing that we'll notice is that unlike its predecessors, this Pokemon actually has some really good natural bulk. Base 110 HP is actually really bulky, especially with those defenses. This monkey can definitely take a hit, and not only can it take a hit, but it can definitely dish them back. 115 attack is definitely nothing to scoff at. Now tie that off with a 90 in speed and you've got a pretty solid Pokemon. Now that's by no means lightning fast, but it's definitely enough, especially in this current metagame, to get some hits off with the bulk that it has. Now when it comes down to the typing, a fighting and ghost type is so incredible offensively. The only things in the entire game that either resist or are immune to ghost are dark and normal, and fighting hits both of those super effectively. If this Pokemon's on the field, switching into it is kind of a nightmare. Not to mention that this Pokemon has 3 incredible abilities. Vital Spirit is great, you can't be put to sleep. Inner Focus is really solid, you can't be intimidated and you can't be flinched. But Defiant is probably one of the best abilities in the entire game. For those that don't know, Defiant is an ability where if any of your stats are lowered, your attack is raised by 2 stages. Meaning that if an opponent was to try to intimidate you, they'd end up raising your attack instead. All of these things tied together make this Pokemon quite a threat, and not to mention it has a signature move. Though we'll get into that in a moment. Now let's get into the first set that I'm going to be suggesting. Now I have gone up against this set multiple times. It is actually incredibly frustrating to play against, and it's really strong, and this is the Choice Scarf lead set in double battles. Now at first, the EV spread here may not make much sense. Why am I running max speed with a whole lot of HP with a Choice Scarf? And that is because of the first move we're going to be using, and that is Final Gambit. Final Gambit will pretty much deal the damage of your health bar to the enemy. It will KO you, but you can essentially trade out with almost any Pokemon in the game. Having just 236 EVs in HP will mean that you can completely trade out with a Garchomp turn 1. We've got the extra 20 points in attack there just to do a little bit more damage, but feel free to go max HP here as you may get a little more value if someone has a bit of health investment on some of these Pokemon. I do feel like max speed and Jolly is pretty important in this metagame because it will help you outspeed things that you really need to outspeed. Now we'll be going Terra Grass on this set because this will stop things like Rage Powder from redirecting your Final Gambit. Now we will be running Defiant on this set to get that boost because Intimidate is so prevalent in doubles, and not to mention moves like Snarl and Icy Wind. And to take advantage of the attack boost, we're going to be running Close Combat. Now even if we don't get a boost, this is a fighting stab move with 120 base power, meaning that when you use it on this Pokemon, it has 180 base power. That is a lot of damage even if you don't get a boost. Next up we have a Rage Fist. Now this is the signature move I mentioned earlier. This move only has 50 base power, but for every time this Pokemon takes a hit, it gains 50 more base power. And this is something that stays with Annihilape even when you switch out and come back in, or even if you were to use something like Revival Blessing and bring the Pokemon back. If you were to switch this Pokemon in on a Snarl, you would get +2 in attack immediately and 50 extra base power on this move. That on a Choice Scarf is absolutely terrifying. And last but definitely not least, we have U-Turn, and this is going to help you pivot around. When you're using a choice set and you're locked into moves, it's really helpful to have a move like U-Turn that helps you just pivot out of the fight and get something else in if things aren't looking too great. This is probably one of the strongest leads in double battles at the moment. It's been terrorizing a lot of my games, and whenever I've used it, I've had amazing success. I definitely highly recommend this one. Now let's get on to the next set, which is actually really similar, and it's just another Choice Scarf set. Now you can use this in doubles or singles or wherever you really want. This is your standard max speed, max attack Choice Scarf set, and with an ability like Defiant, having access to strong moves like Close Combat, Rage Fist, and Rock Slide, and Earthquake, and Seed Bomb if you want to take down Dondozos, and U-Turn for pivoting. There's just so many options here. Now, I tend to go Terra Fighting because a Terra Fighting boosted close combat is so unbelievably strong, but honestly, you can go whichever Terra you like on a set like this. It doesn't really make a difference. If you want to go Terra Ground Earthquakes, if you want Terra Grass Seed Bombs or Terra Blast, if you want Terra Rock Rock Slides, Terra Ghost Rage Fist, the sky is kind of the limit on this Pokemon, and it's really cool that we have all that diversity. When you're running a choice set, you just kind of want to pack a punch. There's not too much to say about this one that wasn't covered in the last one, other than this doesn't have access to Final Gambit, so if you can't do big damage to something, you don't have that extra tool to really take him out. But it's still definitely a very devastating set to run, and something I still pretty highly recommend. Now, next is another set that I've come across a few times, and this one is actually pretty frustrating to verse if you're not really prepared for it. This is done best when partnered with Redirection. Something like Mousehold with Follow Me or Amoonguss with Rage Powder, this is something that you really want to have a partner supporting. But if you can get some bulk ups off with this Pokemon, it becomes unbelievably terrifying. Now, I tend to go Terra Water on this set to deal with things like Dondozo and just be really tanky. Water's a really good defensive type. Though at the end of the day, when it comes to Terra, it's really your preference. Now, this set has just enough speed to outspeed Timid Goldengo. It also has enough special defense to survive a Shadow Ball from Goldengo, which is pretty cool, and enough HP to make you pretty bulky around the board. The way you want to play this set is use your Redirection partner to kind of help you set up, and you get up as many bulk ups as you can using Drain Punch to heal up whenever necessary. The cool thing about having Rage Fist on a bulk up Pokemon is the more hits you take, the stronger it gets. If they try to poke you down with those spread moves, or if you get hit by physical moves that you can tank up pretty well because of the bulk ups, then your Rage Fist becomes so strong that you end up one-shotting everything on the enemy team. Now, we throw Protect on this set because sometimes you need to use that in doubles. You really need to outplay your opponents with Protects and keep your Pokemon safe whenever necessary. We go with the Lumberry as the item here to get rid of those pesky burns or sleeps from the enemy Pokemon if something kind of goes wrong. If this set starts to take off, it becomes incredibly devastating. It's really tough to deal with this if you fall behind. So if you don't have a Haze Pokemon handy or a way to really deal with this Pokemon on the special side, you will find that this thing just wipes through your entire team. Annihilape is definitely a very big threat. Now, those are probably what I think to be the 3 best sets in doubles at the moment. Let me know any others that you know in the comments below. I'd love to hear some of your sets. Let's get on to some sets that I think are really good in singles, and this set is actually something that I'm pretty sure got banned on Smogon singles, but it's still pretty good in the Battle Stadium singles, and that is the Bulk Up Chesto Resto set. Now, this build just has a lot of bulk in both health and special defense, and then enough speed to outspeed just random base 60s. It has the same concept with Bulk Up, Drain Punch, and Rage Fist, with the Terra Water as the defensive option. The only difference with this one is instead of Protect, you're actually running Rest with a Chesto Berry, meaning that once in the fight, you can go straight up to full HP and recover all the damage done. Now, if your opponent whittled you down, boosting up that Rage Fist, and you healed all of that back up, and now your Rage Fist is boosted and you're ready to go, that is just a terrifying state, and I can see why this thing got banned on Smogon singles. We run a careful nature on this set to really maximize the bulk. Now, last but not least, we have this set that I ran in Battle Stadium singles, and I find it pretty fun. This is just a standard Life Orb set. It's max attack and max speed. This set is jolly just like the first couple. You're just trying to maximize speed here, and it's really cool that this Pokemon actually has access to Stealth Rocks. Now, being a Stealth Rock setter with Defiant is actually really cool. You're a Ghost type, so Pokemon can't Rapid Spin on you, and you have Defiant, so Pokemon don't want to Defog on you. It makes getting rocks up and keeping them up really easy. Now, with really strong stab options like Close Combat and Rage Fist, you're quite the powerhouse. Now, the last move is kind of whatever you want it to be, but I find having Gunk Shot and Terra Poison really cool into the fairies that try to switch in on those fighting moves. Things like Grimmsnarl just get wiped away, and Terra just has some really cool options with it. Doing stuff like this is definitely one of my favorite ways to use it. There's nothing like an out of nowhere stab Gunk Shot to take out an enemy unexpectedly. Now, these are the sets that I've been having the most fun with, and there's many more of course, but I don't want to sit here and just bore you guys for hours on one simple Pokemon. Let me know in the comments which sets you guys are running. What's your favorite way to try Annihilape? Have you not tried it out yet? Do you have any more questions you'd like to ask me? I read every single comment. If I don't get back to them, I will eventually. Definitely check in tomorrow for the next episode of this series. I'm going to keep this going for every single Pokemon. So as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.